Hi, Jeremy here, Modern Vitality. In today's video, why do people who love horses get complex chronic inflammatory conditions? I'm going to be exploring 5 reasons why there's a big overlap between people who love riding horses, being around horses, and having that whole lifestyle, and they oftentimes also have diseases which sometimes manifest as like fibromyalgia or rheumatoid arthritis or some other kind of autoimmune-ish chronic inflammatory condition. These symptoms can be fatigue, brain fog, a lot of weird pains, wandering pains, right? Those are the big ones. And then trouble sleeping, anxiety issues, just trouble in general with like stress tolerance. There's a lot to it, right? It's multifaceted. You can have palpitations, insomnia, libido changes, right? And it's not that the horse is giving you this disease, right? You can still do what you love. You can still be around horses and live that life and get your health back. We're going to become aware of some of the connections though, okay? So I'm going to point you in the right direction so you can start to take control of your health, get your life back. Let's get started. So this is a connection I've been noticing for years now. I've had a lot of patients who are into horse riding, horseback, horse training, just the horse world, right? Which is great. And they come to me for help with what looks like complex chronic inflammatory conditions. Sometimes it's a fibromyalgia diagnosis. Sometimes they don't quite have a diagnosis, but we do know there's something off in the way that their body's working. Now, first of all, if you've been around my world and my work at all, then you probably are familiar with my 4-stage approach: immune system, digestive system, neuroadrenal, and then blood circulation. This is how we repair the body. This is how we give our body what it needs to heal in the right order. So whatever's going on, we have people with all kinds of health conditions like Lyme disease, chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue. Now we have long haulers, mold exposure, EMF sensitivity, right? There's a ton of these, candida, there's a ton of them. No matter what's going on, what the official diagnosis is, when you have one of these symptom pictures where you have all these kind of symptoms that are all over the map, and it's been going on a while, and it's a bit of a head scratcher, right? When you have that, we have to start looking systematically at the body systems, okay? And especially going in order is going to give you the most bang for your buck in terms of what you're trying to do, what kind of leverage you're trying to have with your body. What's this got to do with horses? Well, let me tell you, I've been meditating on this a fair amount. And with horses, with the horse lifestyle, right? The types of people who are drawn to interacting with horses, riding horses, training horses, there is such an overlap between what that lifestyle entails and the different types of triggers and causes that can start to disrupt the immune system, the digestive system, the nervous system, and blood circulation, that it's no wonder there's such an overlap, okay? There's a ton of people that have all these symptoms and love horses. So I'm here to like bridge the gap, right? We got 5 reasons. I'm going to give you 5 reasons why. So one reason is that when you're riding horses, you're outside a lot, okay? And being outside is great. It's awesome. One of the things about being outside that can be tricky if you have any kind of immune issue or inflammatory problem is that your body is always trying to adapt to temperature and humidity. Meaning, if we're outside a lot in the rain and in the cold, and then, some of these days where it's like, it's sunny and then it's cloudy and sunny and cloudy, and there's big temperature swings every time the wind blows, all these things challenge your immune system. So while you're out there having fun, working with your horse, right, which is great, in the meanwhile, your neck might be exposed, right? Your skin's exposed, and you're getting this kind of wind and cold and sometimes dampness coming into your body, which in Eastern medicine, which I've got a very strong Eastern medical background. I'm a clinical herbalist, and we look at things in terms of a lot of times these forces coming in, like wind and cold and damp, coming into your body, right? And causing problems, causing pain, causing obstructions, which isn't as crazy as it sounds once you start looking at, things that we can observe. For example, somebody whose knee hurts and their arthritis is always worse when it's about to rain. You ever hear about that, right? People who have, I've had these patients, they say, I'm a human barometric pressure monitor, right? I can tell you when it's going to rain because my knee hurts. We can see the external environment, the external weather reflected inside of our bodies. We can see that. That's an immune response. That's where that lives, right? Stage 1, immune system. So people who are out with horses a lot, they're getting this elemental exposure. And it's important to, for one, recognize this. And then for 2, do something about it. Maybe now you're wearing a scarf or an extra jacket or whatever so that you can start to be a little more insulated. That will help. Of course, I'm not giving you medical advice, right? I'm not your doctor, but I'll tell you things that maybe can open your mind, and you can do some very straightforward lifestyle adjustments so that you can keep riding horses without the pain flares, without the inflammatory problems, right? So Number one is that you're out there in the elements. So do something about that as best you can. Okay. Don't be afraid to be outside. Being outside is amazing, right? Getting out from under all these artificial lights and all that, it does wonders for our health. But we also have to mitigate temperature. Okay. We just do. We're not furry, we're not like animals with pelts and stuff. We've just got basically our bare skin out there. So we have to protect ourselves a little bit. Number two is pathogens. So if you're out there, outside, you could be getting all kinds of things that you're exposed to. A lot of people have fibromyalgia or a complex chronic health condition, and it turns out there's also Lyme disease, right? Which is difficult to diagnose and get an actual confirmation or not. A lot of people get false positives. A lot of people get false negatives. It's a tricky condition. Let's just assume, right, that there are pathogens, whether it's Lyme or not, right? Whether you've got Borrelia bacteria or not, like it doesn't matter specifically which pathogens are in there. Just the fact that something is in there that you're picking up from your environment is worth paying attention to. So having ways, and I'm not talking about taking antibiotics all the time, but a lot of herbs, there are herbs that are very gentle that you can take and incorporate in your life that will help your body get rid of some of these pathogens or at least keep them in check. I've done other videos about herbs and even spices, things that you can use in your life to try to help your immune system just with the day-to-day pathogens, right? Now, of course, if you're out there a lot, you need to check yourself for ticks, right? Be smart, be tick aware so that when you come in, you're going over your body and making sure you don't have ticks on you, because that's not going to help, right? So tick exposure, other pathogens, that's the second thing that just comes with being outside, which is part of the horse lifestyle, right? You're not riding your horse around your living room, obviously, right? You're out there. So you can be picking up bugs and things like that. So be aware of that, because that's going to be another immune stressor. Another one too is the hay, right? From horses. So there may be little molds and things growing on the hay that you're getting exposed to. And now you're picking up a mycotoxin load, which is challenging your immune system. It's going to be challenging your digestive system as well. And that doesn't help with the inflammatory processes. A lot of people with a fibromyalgia diagnosis oftentimes also have mycotoxin issues, right? That may be one and the same. A lot of people with Lyme disease also have mycotoxin issues, right? There's a lot of connectivity happening here behind the scenes. I'm not going to get into all the nuances within this video. We're going to try to keep it focused on horses. But for the most part, you need to start thinking about the environment you're exposing yourself to. And is there something maybe on the hay, right? Are you getting allergies to that? Are you picking up, you might not be allergic to the actual hay. You might be allergic to the mold coming off of some of the hay, right? So think about these things. Okay. Can you get somebody else to deal with the hay? Maybe you could just ride the horse, right? There are things that you can do to offset some of this damage. So the next one, right? We've talked about climate. We've talked about pathogens, especially ticks. And the third one was molds. And now the fourth one is very straightforward, is just the actual physical wear and tear of riding a horse. Okay. Like it's work, and while you're on a horse, you should be relaxed, right? You should be working on your own internal suppleness, because you're going to be communicating with the horse. And we're going to get into that. That's our fifth thing, is I'm going to talk about the kind of resonance that we have with horses, right? But before we get to that, is just the actual wear and tear of your body of riding the horse and developing your legs, right? And then having that strength come, okay, which is good. But if you're already inflamed, if you have a background of inflammation, and then you go to do exercise and strengthening, for example, like making your legs and hips strong and learning how to sit and all that, your body's not going to respond to exercise the same way as somebody who doesn't have an underlying inflammatory condition. And this we see with fibromyalgia and a lot of the other complex chronic health conditions is post-exertional malaise syndrome, right? Where we do exercise, we push ourselves to do it, even if it's just taking a walk or doing something that doesn't seem over the top. And then for the next week, you're in bed, just like flared up and, miserable and inflamed. That's post-exertional malaise syndrome. And why that happens is because the body needs time to heal and repair from any exercise. And part of that has to do with an immune component. The immune system is part of what cleans up the damage of exercise, right? And helps us get stronger. And if the immune system's already inflamed and volatile and challenged with pathogens and mold and whatever else, it's not going to do such a good job with the normal exercise repair process. So that's why you get these kind of weird flare-ups afterwards. So something to think about, whether or not you get the post-exertional malaise, if you have an immune issue going on, if you've got a baseline like autoimmune type or fibromyalgia type or suspected Lyme or mold or whatever it is type situation going on, and you're asking your body to start to be stronger, right? And learn how to ride the horse and have some endurance and being on the horse. And it's like going up and down and bop, 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 bop. And you're getting all these kind of spinal compressions, right? Being able to clean up and repair some of that damage, even though it's healthy, right? Because you're getting stronger, but just the process is going to be a lot slower and more difficult if your immune system's already kind of out of whack. So there's 4. Okay, we did elemental exposure, right? Cold, damp, wind, all that getting into your body and challenging your immune system. We did number 2 is pathogens. So be very aware of bugs and ticks and things like that. And of course, there are things you can't see like bacteria. And number 3 is mold, another thing you can't see, maybe around the hay, or look around the environment right out there. Maybe it's a barn and it's got a dingy, what's the stable like? Are there dingy places? Is there stuff where there's mold getting in? Because these aren't exactly enclosed structures usually, right? They're not like weather tight places. The elements get in, right? So there's that. Number 4 we looked at is the actual physical wear and tear of like riding the horse, right? And number 5 is the emotional sensitivity and the empathy and the transference. A lot of times, not always, but a lot of times the people who are drawn to horses are the types of people who are more empathic anyway, right? A little bit more introverted, which is good. There's nothing wrong with this. They're a little more sensitive, right? And they feel things. And so the people who are on that kind of chunk of life, right, where we're more attuned to energies, tend to do really well with horses and tend to get drawn to that, right? Because the horse can mirror and reflect and pick up your energy, and you can feel this connection, right? It's really cool to be able to kind of talk to an animal without words, just with a presence, and to feel that presence coming back from the horse. And this is why also, horses are very useful for therapy, right? For like PTSD and even kids, troubled youth that have had a hard life. You get them doing horse therapy, and the horse being kind of, big and solid and all that grounds them down. And you get this nice virtuous cycle of energetic feedback where people can start to be more calm, right? And it's the same thing with going from human to horse, right? You have to learn how to calm your energy down so that you're not like getting the horse all amped up. Really cool practice, right? It's like internal, it's meditation, But what often happens is a lot of people who have that type of predisposition, who are more energetically sensitive, they'll be drawn to horses. And those are also the same type of people who are more energetically sensitive in general and more likely to experience pain from fibromyalgia or complex chronic inflammatory condition. Okay, it's the same neural pathways. They just get used for good when you're connecting with a horse, and they get hijacked when you're getting these like crazy pain flares, or you feel like you pick up other people's emotions and you're around people in the stress of the way that they can't handle their own emotions, and then that stress gets into you and now you can't get rid of it. Now that turns into a pain flare, right? Or you have something happen and you're still thinking about it like 5 days later or a week later, it's still kind of running around in your mind. Okay, this is empathy wiring in your brain. That's a powerful gift, but it hasn't quite been harnessed yet to where it's still a bit of a weakness too. And we see that a lot with fibromyalgia and a lot of these other complex chronic health conditions. And I would offer that once you work through the stages, right? Immune system, digestive system, neuroadrenal, especially that, and then getting to blood circulation, and you start to get stronger inside physically, like your physical vitality comes up. I would offer that also your mental vitality comes up, and you can start to actively train and harness these gifts so that you don't have to numb out and feel nothing. You can actually learn how to feel more, but you come from a different place where you can feel more without it affecting you so deeply, if that makes sense. You can be very sensitive and very receptive and very connected to other people and horses without it triggering, right, some involuntary stuff within your brain. It's a type of neurofeedback. It's a type of brain training that you can do. And I usually suggest don't do that until you've got the inflammatory pathways handled first, right? Which is why we have an order. Stage 1, immune. Okay. Stage 2, digestive. You need that stage 1 immune sorted out so that when you do start to train your brain, it has a way to repair and heal and learn new patterns, right? And not just be an inflamed brain too. It's really, really hard to jump straight to like brain training and trying to evolve your empathy loops in your own brain, which you can do, but it's very hard to do that when you're already starting out with an inflamed brain with like brain fog and trouble focusing and trouble remembering stuff. Okay. We need to get that function up first to baseline before we do the advanced things, which you can do. Pretty cool. So for those of you who are into horses and struggling with your health, those are 5 things to think about, right? And it's good. Stay with the horse. Do the horse stuff. Like live your life. But if you're getting all these weird pains that are getting in the way of your activities and your time with your horses, it's time to think about how to not only do the mitigation steps that I offered here, but also just start looking strategically at your whole life. Immune, digestive, neuroadrenal, blood circulation. How can you heal yourself systematically so that you can get rid of some of this stuff so that you can spend more time with your horses, right? More time doing the things that you love in general. If you're struggling with complex chronic inflammatory conditions, you don't have to do it alone. We've got a group. It's an international group. It's full of wonderful people. We're extremely positive, even on the bad days, right? And people do have bad days. That's why we're here. It's a Modern Vitality Solutions and Support Group, right? So not only solutions, also support. Like I said, it's international. We got people from all over the place. They're in varying stages of their healing journey. They're working the process. You've got people coming in, they've been at it for a long time. They're making gains, and then all of a sudden they'll have a flare up, a bad day. You can see that. You can watch right over my shoulder as I troubleshoot with the people working with me. You can see how we handle this, right? You can ask me anything you want about your case, and I'll give you my perspective. It's free to join. There's a vault full of interactive videos so that you can start to fine tune kind of where you're at, what you need to be looking at next in terms of your healing, get some bigger perspectives. It's a great place. Lots of camaraderie, lots of positivity. And again, it's free. The link is in the description, which you can find, I'm sure. And once I see your application, if you look like a good fit for our group and for what we're doing, I'll invite you in. But just know I keep it small, I keep it cozy. And because of that, there's oftentimes a wait. So I'll try to get you in within our next monthly cohort, if possible, so that you're not waiting too long. In the meantime, I would urge you, right? Watch the other videos on this channel. Start getting caught up, right? Get this stuff in your brain because you need to start absorbing the culture we have, because the culture and the subconscious transformation starts to inform your beliefs about what's even possible. And then when we start looking at the actual strategies, it's going to make a lot more sense. You can subscribe to this channel. You can like this video. That's one way to train the algorithm to show you things that actually matter and help move the needle for your health, as opposed to just like mindless entertainment, which I get, we all get distracted and just want entertainment sometimes. But, there's a certain type of person that wants to start training the algorithms so that YouTube will show you things that matter, which I would offer, for you, probably right now, one of the most important things is getting your health back so you can start doing things you love again and being there for other people. So I hope this video helps you. Let's get you feeling better. Cheers.